grab it through Glory, and we'll take the first round. Remember, that is happening over on the B stream. So if you do want to watch that one, check out twitch.tv/HCS. But we are going to be focusing on the main stream here and our main game between FaZe and Cloud9. It's a big one for Cloud9. I would argue bigger for Cloud9 than it is for FaZe. But also FaZe cannot afford to start off slow here. They need to make sure they come in hard and they come in heavy.
The expectation here is for Cloud9 to perhaps lose this one. But what a statement it would be if they could take down FaZe Clan. Aqua CTF is the most perfect map mode combination that you could ask for. Shields up, weapons up, camouflage already in the chest of a player as well.
They're running straight into this one. You can see bubu and Sceptify swinging fists to try and win the engagement down at bottom middle at the moment as we get eyes on the new addition to Cloud9 with Lethul. He's just trying to create a little bit of space as teammates had gone down. Maybe just give a little bit of information to the rest of the team as where those spawners are going to be moving. Just needs to make sure he doesn't get isolated here, but it looks like Suppressed has already found him.
Fridge is always a difficult spot to find yourself in, but somehow, some way, Lethul's gotten a kill.
Is TriPPPeY listening? Was there no call out there? What are you doing, Trip?
Get the bad players out of the way at the start, you would think. Not going to hurt them too much. Sceptify's going to step forward over towards the closet, though. This is good from Cloud9. Good early pressure. Already got 3 members of FaZe Clan in their base. They're turtling up here a little bit. Good damage being done, of course. Sceptify just going to eat that grenade, though. He stepped up to try and get information for his team. FaZe Clan stepping out now. They've got damage. They can push forward. Sab gets 1. Suppress will equal it, though. 2 down for FaZe. Make it 3. Double kill for Sceptify. Flag is on the move. Bubu has got to try and stay alive here. Couldn't even get the melee for the damage, so this flag is going to have to be stopped. This is good knowledge. Good awareness from Sceptify, knowing the flag was not going to get any further.
The trouble is for Sceptify, he is that player. He is the one that is able to step up usually and put a lot of slaying ability for Cloud9, but he's not the one who should be running the flag. He really needs someone with him there that can pull it. You can see he tossed it, wanted to look out, wanted to deal damage, but by doing so, it just slows things down, allows FaZe Clan to get back into it. So Sceptify really needs to be communicating to bubu and saying, hey, you're the flag man. Let's get you with me. I can provide you with that space. This is a big stick from Sab.
Speaking of flag men, there's none better in Europe than you once upon a time.
It's about all I could do.
I remember a montage in which your highlights were you just running a flag.
Hey, I just knew those routes. I knew how to do it fast. If you've got someone on your team that can get that flag from A to B as quick as possible, it can very much help out. As long as they can shoot a gun at least somewhat accurate, you'll be okay.
Grenades going down. Camouflage now for bubu. Sab's managed to get a kill in the base and more importantly stay alive as well. Suppressed and Pznguin, they're in trouble as well. A lot of damage already been done to them. Bubu trying to stay alive with this camouflage. TriPPPeY has sniffed them out. He's got to wait for a moment. Lethul will capitalize on the damage and will take down TriPPPeY as well. So this has been impressive from Cloud9. Really good damage. They're coordinating very well. That melee didn't quite connect, although it even sounded like it did.
Sounded like it connected. It has extra armor, it appears, but that flag is still moving at the moment. You can see bubu trying to just get eyes on it. Only the 2 kills for him at the moment, but he's really been prioritizing staying alive at bottom middle and being a nuisance. Probably being called out very heavily at the moment as the flag gets picked up again. This time it's Sceptify. Does he get the toss? It looks like he did.
Oh!
And it's going to be the opening flag to Cloud9 then, and what a way to start here at DreamHack Dallas.
Cloud9 rewarded for the early pressure then. Do FaZe Clan have a response? Just over 8 minutes and change on the clock. Sab trying to make himself a really difficult kill, but 2 do fall. An opportunity for FaZe Clan to now push forward. Lethul will get a kill. He's going to trade it out. That'll make this flag run a little bit more difficult. Pznguin's trying to get away. Sceptify doing great damage. Beautiful work from Sceptify as 4 go down for FaZe Clan.
Yeah, I think if you're Cloud9, you can't allow FaZe Clan to start taking control of this game. Keep it a little bit messy. Keep allowing bubu to do what he's been doing and just floating around bottom middle, constantly getting behind enemy lines, annoying FaZe Clan a little bit. They've also been doing exactly the same there over towards Fridge by just saying, look, we're just going to sit here, watch where you try and move from spawn, put a couple of shots and then just drop back, make you focus on us, and it allows the rest of the team to push up a little bit. And Cloud9 have got another camo as well.
Now, we spoke about Lethul's communication, his leadership and his experience. Let's have a little Cloud9 listening and see how that's going so far.
And car 3. And car 3 weak, car 3 weak. And our flag pulling it. Our flag pulling out.
Watch out, P2 guys, watch out, P2, watch out, P2.
Our van.
In their table,
They're few guys.
He choked it! Watch out, Argen!
Watch out, Argen. Watch out, Argen. Watch out,
Enter
Argen.
table.
Oh, one shot.
No one on our table.
There's one now, and then one's inside bottom.
Watch out, pulling it. Bottom mid.
We're good.
One flag.
One.
In their flag.
Flag's dead.
Nice. Go inside
Yo,
bottom.
call one. I got 2. Bottom mid.
Watch out, let's go! Dead! All there!
Nice.
Yo, spawn on fridge maybe.
Okay. Watch my jet bridge, I'm gonna get ready.
Yeah, I'm inside bottom. I'm watching jumper. He can't cross you. Can't cross you. Yeah, Shrimps fell.
There's 20 flag.
Hit him 3 times.
I'm blocking fridge.
Okay.
The Peter, Trippy.
I'm
2 Peter.
I'm
Pulling out fire. 2 of them. Trippy's weak.
Yeah.
I'm here, Jet. Watch out, hands are flagged. We're good.
Yeah,
I
they're
walled
flagged.
it.
Trippy was weak.
One shot suppress.
Their window.
Their window. Weak Trippy.
I think they're both back there.
Yeah,
Yeah, South, one shot, flag. They're both weak, one shot.
Help.
They're gonna spawn fridge, I'm blocking back flag. They're covered, one shot. One shot, they're done. One shot, nice. They're gonna weed.
Yeah.
Jay. What's the P2s, Jay? Their table, one made OE.
Yeah, no.
He's like the brick.
Gen already, but close behind you.
Alright,
Close behind you.
Yeah, I'm coming down with you, Jay.
They're gen weak. They're gen.
They're
They're vent.
I have to drop Jay.
So one right the bank. Calling car 2. They're done.
Nice. Yo, in our Peter.
Our Peter and car. One shot in Peter. Two shot in Peter, jiggling.
Watch out, Trippy.
And Henri.
Dude, you got me.
Henri, we're netting it.
Table. Ammo 5, guys.
No good. I'm going vent for camo.
Camo's up.
Dust
Dust is up. Dust is up.
He jumped up, top mid, on camo.
I jumped twice.
And car 2. Car 2. I'm one shot, Argen.
I'm here, Jesse.
I got naded.
Dan, if I'm going to take anything from that listing, it's Cloud9 sound up for this series.
They definitely do, and for good reason, because they are pushing FaZe Clan to their limits right now. But have they capitalized enough on all of that early pressure with only 1 flag lead? That'll be the real question, because now FaZe Clan are starting to create a little bit of space. They have another camouflage to work with, and if Suppress starts to get going, that's when Cloud9 maybe going to be a bit worried here.
FaZe Clan have had a couple of pulls, but they've been unsuccessful thus far. A chance now to rectify that. Lethul over towards the car side. The P side, excuse me, putting down some shots. Here's the opportunity for Trippy to slam this flag in. 2 members of Cloud9 in his face. Members down to no shields. Press will get a kill. Make that a double kill. Trippy just takes his time as Bubu's the last man on the map. 1-1 now the score.
And that's why I said if you don't capitalize on all that early pressure, FaZe Clan can just pull one back so comfortably. Great play from Trippy as well, recognizing there was players in the base and just trying to stay alive whilst taking that attention away from those players. And of course you saw Suppress just put in that damage, and suddenly Suppress is on 13 kills. And what was looking like a very one-sided affair from Cloud9, suddenly FaZe Clan are now on the board when it comes to those slays. It is all about the SS combo though for Cloud9. Sceptify and Sab, 18 kills and 16 kills, but 13 assists for bubu dubu. Pretty impressive as well.
I'm just appreciating the aesthetics of FaZe Clan's kills, 11, 12, 13, and 14, which have now just been ruined because Suppress has decided to get another kill. But is the win now been taken out of Cloud9's sails? Because all that early pressure, all that dominance in the early stages, they've done the show for it now. 1-1, 4 dead for Cloud9, and an opportunity for FaZe Clan to put another flag cap on the board if they can push forward here and get another couple of kills.
Yeah, they do have to just create a little bit of space here. They got all 4 dead whilst they were on kind of the halfway point, but this happens quite often with some of the bigger teams against teams that are trying to catch up, is that if they start to fall back a little bit, their plan B and plan C sometimes doesn't really work out. It's all guns blazing. When they're on top, they look brilliant, but suddenly when you have to try and fight back from behind, that's when they start to struggle.
Cloud9 looking a little bit uncomfortable in the back of their base. 3 go down, a lot of pressure. Making an unofficial 4 dead as well. Bubu's going to spawn back up again, most likely over towards the fridge. A lot of space to have to take up here, a lot of damage to be done. Suppressed yet to take any damage. Cloud9 are in trouble now, because with 3 minutes of change in the clock, if FaZe Clan are to get this flag in, Suppressed has just fumbled it for a moment, but it shouldn't punish them too much, as FaZe Clan getting kills elsewhere, and they look to go back to back.
Yeah, Pznguin was right there and ready. I think that Suppressed is going to be under too much fire to try and get a touch here, and it's probably just going to have to try and think about maybe getting behind them. Yeah, doing some extra damage. That's good play from Suppressed. He still could try and slide out if he wanted to, but Lethul, with his experience, knows that Suppressed cannot stay there. But it does allow TriPPPeY just to sneak this flag away, and FaZe are running another one.
TriPPPeY then clambers up, slams it in. 3-1 now the score. That is a dagger to Cloud9, who were playing so well in the early goings.
going to be frustrating for them, and it's exactly these instances when you're playing so well, you're on top, you're on Cloud9, and you just suddenly then lose all of that momentum, and you start in the back of your head to say, all right, what are we doing wrong? How are we going to deal with this? You start focusing on the wrong things rather than what was going right. You start to believe maybe we're just doing things that are going too wrong here. But sadly for Cloud9, despite the early slays from Sceptify and Sab, they just weren't really able to get the players in the right place for the flags to be moved.
This comes back to FaZe Clan's consistency as well, of course. Managed to deal with some of the pressure in the early goings. They went down by 1 but didn't panic and now find themselves 3-1 up. There's still a lot of Halo to be played in an Aqua CTF.
Yeah, you can't allow FaZe Clan to get in this control. As soon as the camouflage started going in favor of FaZe Clan, that's when I was beginning to just scratch my head a little bit. Cloud9, when they were in the ascendancy, they were getting all the slays, they were getting the camo. Everything was kind of falling into place, but FaZe Clan are a team that can force things to fall into place. They know the positions they need to be taking. They know they can just take their time and be patient, and they are not worried when they're behind.
From falling into place to falling apart, Cloud9 then, their flag is on the move again. Suppress still has a little bit of camouflage to play with here as well. C9 look to be reserved, just let this one go. But a minute change in the clock. Game 1 looks to be well and truly going towards FaZe Clan.
Yeah, fourth flag going in for FaZe Clan. This is impossible. 1 minute, 3 flags, not going to happen. So Cloud9, despite all of their early pressure, and they looked really good, and I was starting to think, hey, you know, top 4 maybe for Cloud9. Maybe they were starting to think about top 4. Sadly, that's how quick a game of Halo Infinite can turn on its head. It goes from a game where Cloud9 looked like they were the dominant force to a final scoreline that looks like FaZe Clan made it easy.
The scoreline for now will read 4-1.
Could be 5.
And that will not speak to how close the game was at the beginning. At the end of the game, none of that matters.
When you speak about flag runners, by the way, Pznguin, one of the best. Look at how quickly he's moving this one, as well as putting 25 kills on the board. He is the last player remaining, but with how he's dipping and dodging right now, he even went for the toss in hope a teammate was going to be there. That's very experienced flag runner.
I think he was just going for style points at the end. Game's already won. Going for the alley-oop. Cloud9 are going to try and defend this one, though. With 10 seconds left, it's a matter of time now before FaZe do guarantee themselves map number 1. This flag will just merely be a consolation for Cloud9. As a matter of fact, not even going to get the time to punch it in. Game 1 goes to FaZe Clan.
I think that was a very important game for FaZe Clan and a very telling tale as well for how this series is going to go, and maybe even how this tournament is going to go for FaZe Clan. It didn't matter that they were behind. It didn't matter they were under pressure. Very calm. That is one thing with these 4 set of individuals, is they don't really succumb to pressure. And I think that's important to have a roster like this. None of them got nervous. None of them started to think, oh, what if we lose to Cloud9? They were thinking, we're not going to lose to Cloud9. We know we're capable of taking them down. And I was very impressed with that comeback.
For Cloud9, work to do. You can take some confidence in the fact that you managed to push them in the early game, but FaZe Clan came to life, and at that point there was no turning back. Looking at TriPPPeY's kills, looking at Pznguin's kills, 25, 20 assists as well. He was putting down serious damage, 7k to be exact.
And I'm sure that everyone's eyes will go one of 2 ways when you look at KDs. The success on the side of FaZe, and of course Sab and Sceptify also looked really good. Lethul sadly did not put up a big game, but he was also trying to force a lot of space for his team, and sometimes you can just fall into that trap of dying over and over again. And it would have been fine. If Cloud9 had won, wouldn't have been any question about that one. And of course, KDs don't matter too much. Sometimes it can tell you a little bit of a story. What I will say is we know full well that Sceptify and Sab are going to be the key when it comes to slaying power for this Cloud9 roster. And then Bubu and Lethul are going to be more the kind of supportive and objective players on this team.
Then we have to give dubu a little nod as well. One of the least kills on his team, but actually the most damage in the lobby, 7.5k for him, so 500 more than Pznguin. So he was doing pretty much what his role required, but unfortunately, when you talked about the 2 S's, Sceptify and Sab, they just weren't getting the job done for them.
And also, I mean, when Bubu was bottom middle and he was just floating around and FaZe Clan couldn't really find him, their eyes were constantly trained in the wrong places, and I think that was really good. But FaZe then became wise of it and said, well, what happens if we just leave Bubu there to bottom middle? Sure, he's going to be doing a lot of damage to us in the back, but if we're all still firing on all cylinders, looking at Sceptify, looking at Sab, shutting them down, then we have the numbers advantage going into the next fight. Cloud9 just couldn't really get back into it as we move over now to Map number 2, which is going to be Streets Slayer. We didn't actually see FaZe play this in Arlington, but Cloud9 did lose it when they had their chance to compete on it back in Arlington, Texas. Of course, it's not too far from here. We didn't have to move too far. Maybe we could have had it back to back, and then we could have just done it a week after. You know, we all could have stayed in Texas. No?
I would have liked that, actually.
Saved you a flight, anyway.
Actually, then again, I'm a little man at home, so
that's true.
he might have missed me, to be
Yeah,
fair.
he would.
Taking a look at the stats then in the Slayers, both with an equal record of 7-2. And looking then at the average margin, though, 10.2 for FaZe. So when they play it, they're looking dominant.
Yeah, they don't just scrape through Slayers. They're not 50-49s. They are battering teams. They are ensuring they are shutting the game down nice and early. And I think for Cloud9, they can take away from the previous is when they are in control, they can certainly beat FaZe Clan. But I think what they would need to work on and what they need to look at already is when they go behind, how do they try and regain that control? Because that's what they really lacked in Aquarius. But the good news for Cloud9 is Aquarius captures flag, one of FaZe's better game types, so maybe something else in the rest of the series could bode well for them.
Well, you spoke at the start of the series how the Slayers were going to be the most important thing for Cloud9 if they were going to stand a chance to win it here. So here's the first test. Can they get the job done on Slayer Streets? I think you mentioned when they relinquish control, that's when they're in big trouble, trying to regain and trying to recapture the form. Big opportunity in game 2 to tie up the series.
Yeah, so if you're Cloud9, you want to take a big lead here. You want to go ahead, you want to play exactly the same kind of pace as you did in the previous, but you don't want to allow FaZe a ticket back in. If you could take a 10+ kill lead, it's going to be very difficult for FaZe to try and regain and recontrol like they had done in the prior. And we know full well, of course, all the different things you need to try and control here on Streets. See, instantly you had that battle at bottom middle as well. I'm not sure who ended up with it, actually, but it is going to be FaZe Clan who have an early lead, 4-2.
A little bit of a standoff. And a standstill for a moment. FaZe Clan will venture forward, though. They're coming looking for the fight. Bubu is going to get the first pick on the Falcated. Pznguin might have just distracted the attentions for a moment as the press comes up with the Stalker Rifle. And a lot of damage being done from the Cafe. TriPPPeY towards the L, putting down damage. Now 2 members of Cloud9 trapped inside PD. They're behind the desk, and I promise you they're not doing paperwork. They're in big trouble. And 2 kills go for FaZe Clan.
It was interesting because Cloud9 got the first kill there. They had a 4v3 advantage and they all just stood still. FaZe Clan was still the team pushing despite there was only 3. It was a clear move of we want to try and surround our opposition, and FaZe Clan, even though they'd lost 1, they just kept pressing forward. They kept going to try and do the damage. And Cloud9 weren't really prepared for it because of the angles that FaZe were taking.
Looking at the lead then, already up by 7. You spoke about how it was Cloud9 who really needed to get that early lead and build on it. FaZe Clan have not let that happen thus far. Still a lot of time for things to change though. Lethul faced with 2 members, and again, FaZe Clan do this 2-2 push, and it seems to be successful.
Falcated on the killing spree. Not really something you want to be seeing if you were on the side of Cloud9, because when he does start to get going, he really does provide so much slaying power on Street Slayer in particular. Average 1.38 KD on Street Slayer from last time we saw him competing on this one, or just Slayers in general, excuse me. 1.38 across all Slayers. He was the man of the hour for FaZe Clan when it came to Slayers.
I think Clutch mentioned in the build-up to this series that if you have FaZe Clan against another team and it's all bandits, he fancies them 9 times out of 10. You can see why. Game 1, 4-1 the score. Game 2, already off to a massive lead. 11 kills the difference here. It can be very difficult to get yourself back into a Slayer on Streets.
Yeah, I mentioned that I wanted Cloud9, but I didn't want them to, but if Cloud9 were to win, they needed like a 10-kill lead really to try and keep that gap, keep FaZe Clan at arm's length, but instead it's going to be the other way around. And if we learned anything in game 1, it's Cloud9 struggle to get back into a game when they're behind, and it's not looking too good here. And this is why those stats came up on the screen earlier. The difference between the wins that FaZe Clan have and the difference between the wins that Cloud9 have when it comes to Slayers. On average, FaZe Clan are winning by over 10 kills when it comes to the final result.
I do like the idea of Cloud9 at the end of this series, if they do, of course, go on to lose it, looking at what was the reason we didn't win the Slayer. Dan said we weren't ahead by 10 kills. We really need to start doing that, actually.
Sometimes it's that simple. You just have to start off hot. I mean, it's easier said than done, obviously. It's one of those stupid things that you say as a commentator, but you can't allow such easy deaths. I think sometimes at the start of a Slayer game, you push a little bit aggressively, you think the deaths are less important because it's right at the start, but suddenly at the end of the game, you really wish you could have had those 5 deaths that you had at the start because you were just trying to be a little bit aggressive and take those 1v1s. And it was one of the reasons why Cloud9 struggled a little bit, and maybe why Manny was the choice of player that was taken away from this team. He's an aggressive player. He was always at the forefront of any attack for Cloud9. Sometimes he would go down a little bit early because of the speed at which he played, but that speed will match TSM's speed, which is good, but Cloud9, was it a little bit too fast for their pace?
FaZe Clan's gameplay looking real smooth. How does the comms sound? Let's have a listen in.
Yo, look at your laundry, look at your laundry, look at your laundry.
Laundry one shot, absolutely.
Back A already, back A already.
Back A gonna kill me, back A gonna kill me.
You guys got P1.
One shot, living.
Absolute
Trying to
absolute on the went inside. Went inside PD.
Agent holding him.
live.
I'm dead.
Watch him.
Alright, agenda.
One shot PD, absolute
Nice
going.
Yo, laundry, Zane, laundry, pretty sure.
Bottom mid, free kill.
Nice.
The front C as well, front C
Yeah,
as well.
I spawned back in.
One to the one.
Absolutely. And just
That's just one, dead.
he was coming one shot in sub somewhere.
I'm going trash, Johnny.
I have death cam front trash, I have death cam driveway.
Just
Ivy.
trash right now, just trash.
Got
It's all
Ivy.
PD, dude.
I spawned tower, I'm
they're
looking
gonna be.
PD.
Yo, I'm
Yo,
gonna.
stop, stop out.
Looking PD.
No, like.
I'm gonna be around.
Yeah, I might die. I'm dead. Okay.
Is that Ivy?
You steps weak, lethal. Two
What
shots,
was
two shots, two
Mando?
shots.
Mando driving me? I don't know.
No, bro, I fucking did. You slide. One shot Ivy.
Come back to B.
P1 up.
Yo, he's got
P1
P1 going cafe.
Pushing up B, guys.
Cafe on the pillar. Cafe going back to P1. Going back to P1. Do you guys Ivy steps? Do you guys Ivy steps?
Can anyone come to me?
Yeah,
one shot?
I'm risen.
Oh, fuck, Mike, nice.
Coming
I see shit.
Should we push commando? Go, I'm here.
Cafe again.
Driveway?
Yo, bottom T and Java, I think.
Game 130, guys.
P1, Mike.
My gun might be
Yo,
able
push
to.
P1 with me. Push P1.
There's one here. Cafe.
Oh,
No.
push this guy. Push this guy. Push this guy.
Okay.
ATM. I just saw him.
Java,
I check red gun.
backed up. I have red one.
We got red gun.
I think Commando's in.
Stuck me.
Gonna be, yo, Commando, shot him once, but it's not.
Alright, C-Bog. I'm just turning around, Donnie.
And Donnie's got red gun.
Chill.
Game 115.
C-Bog weak. I'm just disappearing. I'm looking at
Game
Cafe.
110, guys. Game
I heard
110.
that came up.
Ivy weak, Sceptify. One shot Ivy dead.
Yo, I'm looking.
Yo, Java now. You got Java.
I'm here, Donnie.
Shut this up here.
Game 1-3. Game 1-3.
Driveway weak, lethal.
Ivy.
Java's one.
Yeah, I'm gonna get him.
As we head into the final knock into this Slayer, Cloud9 just really haven't tested FaZe here, Dan.
FaZe looking incredible. Pznguin, amazing. I love watching Penguin's POV and just listening to the comms as well. Can anyone support me while I'm here? I'm just going to disappear because I know that I can't really do anything from this position, and then he instantly tries to go and play for the camouflage. Sure, he didn't pay off on this one, but currently has 14 kills, 11 assists. I don't think we talk about Pznguin enough, even though we talk about him a lot. He just seems to be everywhere on the map. And then you listen to the comms as well, they're just congratulating Falcated for a perfect after perfect after perfect. Now what can you do if you're Cloud9 when you poke out your head and suddenly you're getting perfected by Pznguin and Falcated? Just difficult to get back into the game. 44-32, 12 kill lead. This one's probably done.
It's a matter of when, not if, FaZe Clan double their series advantage. A lot of work for Cloud9 to do in map number 3, but we speak about how big momentum is in Halo, Dan, and it looks to be all on the side of FaZe.
And I will say, the listening was very different. We jumped in with Cloud9 were ahead, very hectic, very passionate. FaZe Clan, very calm, very confident, and they didn't really need to be screaming call-outs. Instead, they're just kind of walking each other through what they're doing.
It's all business so far. Not a steak dinner, but dominant enough for FaZe. They doubled their series lead. Looking real good right now.
Increases that average across layers as well, not just a 10.2, 14 kill victory for FaZe Clan. For Cloud9, I mean, I think they'll look at that one and say, did we lose it in the early stages by allowing FaZe Clan to have a little bit more control? That right at the start, FaZe Clan started to create a push. It was a 4 versus 4. Cloud9 took down the first member of FaZe Clan, and FaZe Clan continued to push, continued to deal damage, and it really showed their confidence and how they believe they could just shut down a team, even if there's only 3 of them.
I felt like I watched the same play a couple of times over, that same break. You seen FaZe Clan leave Tram, push up Pink, do a 2-2 split, and Cloud9 just did not have a response. Looking at the stat screen though, 14 kills apiece for Falcated and Pznguin. We spoke about how he doesn't get spoken about enough. The last two games, he's been the front runner for his team.
While the Sceptify Sab slaying combo was not really able to perform in the Slayers like I would expect, it was Lethul who stepped up for this C9 roster, but sadly not enough to get a victory. Damage-wise, I mean, yeah, Pznguin, 5k, bloody hell. Like, we saw him briefly on his POV during the listening, and the positions he takes, the angles that he is always finding himself He's just constantly has his reticle on someone, on something. He doesn't, any body part he sees, he's going to be shooting.
When you have 8 professional players in the lobby and you're doing 1k damage more than everybody else, what game is he playing? I'll tell you something, his shots were on point, hitting 5s on everybody. And it's been dominant so far for FaZe. Cloud9 are in big trouble and a lot of issues to try and show up in the break. They've gone to take a bathroom break and maybe gather themselves, gather their thoughts. What can we do for game number 3?
Well, you said that Wes was saying on the desk, you know, the game types that are just bandit focused is going to really favor FaZe, excuse me. We are getting recharged strongholds next, so there is at least going to be a chance maybe for Cloud9 to use the shock. And perhaps that could be something for them. Maybe Sceptify can get going there. I think I'm stretching here, but
you're clutching at straws.
I think part of me just wants to see the series go further. But I think the writing was on the wall with how FaZe performed in Arlington. A new change for Cloud9 is always going to be a positive one. Like, yes, okay, they've got a new player, they've got Lethul, one of the best players to ever do it. But at the same time, they've not had much time to work on their chemistry. They've not had much time to work on everything that they would want to. I think this Cloud9 roster is something that is going to build through the season. Who's the leader? And even though maybe TriPPPeY could step up, Pznguin could step up perhaps, I think Royal One can be that voice of reason, whether it's when they're behind or whether it's when they're ahead to calm them down. But we are underway in this third match. Thank you for waiting as everything just got sorted. Any issues have been resolved and we're into Strongholds on recharge.
You know, something I do remember as well, you know how reserved Snakebite, Royal 2 are when they win, if they lose. One thing I do know is Royal 1, he can talk some smack.
Oh, he was the one celebrating. He was the one screaming across the main stage when that roster was taking victories. And I'm sure that he would love to roar once more if FaZe Clan could win an event. But a long way to go for them just in the moment. Instead, they're going to be focusing on the task at hand, which is taking down Cloud9 and winning it 3-0. You don't want to go into a game 4, and then maybe there's the thought of a game 5. You want to close out when it's presented to you here.
FaZe Clan looking to make a statement of intent. Not just winning this series, but doing so in a dominant, comfortable fashion. This, in theory, should be a much more difficult task than it's proven to be so far. Remember, this is the 6th seed. This team finished top 6 at the last event. And FaZe Clan have had it all their own way so far.
Yeah, sadly, I think it shows the gap, as you mentioned, between the top and the chasing pack. But when there is a chasing pack, when changes are being made to try and catch up, I think Lottie mentioned it earlier as well, there's been such little time between the 2 events, it's very hard to put all of that practice into effect. And I think she was quite right, sadly, for Cloud9. If they had a little bit more time, then maybe they would have been able to have a little bit more practice as well.
We spoke about that shock rifle coming into play. Now you can see the FaZe Clan skin adorned as well in the most recent update, and it looks very, very pretty.
We said about the shock rifle coming into play, maybe it could help Cloud9, because we saw that Wes was talking about FaZe Clan with bandits are always going to take down most other teams, but they've also got the shock rifle, so it's not looking good for Cloud9.
At the moment, Suppressed yet to register a death, as is Pznguin. Grapple going to be used to just try and bring that camouflage closer. Now, it did just whisk it away from Pznguin for the moment.
What the heck? What the helly?
He does manage to get his hands on it in the end, as well as the shock rifle, so Suppressed being a little bit greedy, but in the end, it bit him, because now it's in the hand of his teammate. Thankfully, no, not the opposition.
No, it's the big thing here. I mean, if you are new to watch competitive Halo, which if you are, welcome, also, where have you been? But they are not pushing to try and get this trip cap. They have been very much just holding on to the 2, forcing Cloud9 back in those spawns, and then controlling the map. And waiting for Cloud9 to then rotate, and then they'll take that position away from the map.
Just a little moment where Sceptify, the plasma grenade landed at his feet. He was like, please no, please no. And he was backing up and hitting reverse and just about managed to stay alive. They need to now have more of an influence. They're doing so here. A and B in their control. Sab has that shock rifle. You can see Falcated a little bit more hesitant to walk forward. And with good reason, as Sab managed to find the face of TriPPPeY. So FaZe Clan had to send a lot of resources in there to take him out. But he has been rid of top elevator. Shock rifle now with 1 shot left in the barrel. And FaZe Clan retake control.
Again, they're just going to watch, see where these movements are from C. Shock rifle has never really been in the hands of Cloud9. They haven't had a chance to make it a difference maker weapon for them, as Falcated is just playing the survival game at the moment. Very good at listening as Falcated. I always enjoy watching his POV because he always finds the angle to do damage to someone. He's constantly got his ear planted towards that floor, just any footsteps that might be tracing near him, and also the call-outs from his team.
It is always interesting, the contrast in style and gameplay the players have, but also some players like to calm a little bit more, and you can tell players like Snipe Drone and the players like Falcated, they prefer to listen. I'll speak when I need to, but for the most part, I'll listen to your call-outs and I'll capitalize on the damage that you're doing.
Yeah, sometimes it can be a downside if a player isn't communicating much, but it might just be better that they are just listening because they play a little bit better. As long as they can give you the basic call-outs. And sometimes overcoming can be a bad thing as well. Flooding communication can be very detrimental to your team, and we've seen it happen time and time again throughout Halo history of just teams screaming call-outs, and whilst it works for some, for others it can be very difficult and can almost have you flustered with the amount of call-outs they're coming in your ear.
Triple cap, the first time, has been locked in for FaZe. They've lost a couple of members though. It's a 2v2 on the map for now as Bubu will spawn over towards goal. Pipes, TriPPPeY gets taken down. God. That was a Shroyukin. He got sent across the map. A and C in control as the per-man setup. It's not going to be comfortable, and you can see why. A already being threatened to take control for Cloud9. Bubu plants his feet in B, looking for help. It's not going to come quick enough. Somehow manages to hit the 5 onto suppressed. Beautiful shots. They're going to need more of that. They're going to win this game.
It's not like they're too far behind on Cloud9 at the moment, but Cloud9 haven't really been able to get in control. It's been mainly scrappy time that we've seen from them to get points on the board. Except really the very start of the game, it's been all FaZe Clan. And again, it's going to be BNC in control, suppressed, flying through the map just to try and maybe pinch a couple of players here. They could maybe catch them off guard. Even though the grapple is on the map, it's very difficult for your brain to comprehend that someone could be flying through and getting between you. You really have to try and wrap your brain around.
I think if you look at the stat sheet, a lot of the scoreboard is reading quite close. Everybody on Cloud9 actually negative right now, so just a testament to how efficient they are when they do get kills, contributing and putting that into score on the board. Sometimes they don't need to have the slays. If they have the map control, they can get the points required. Their job would be a lot easier if they could get a couple of more kills here, really have more of an influence. Bubu over towards batteries once more. He will get taken down. Camouflage for Sab. He cannot survive, and that could have been something that they really desperately needed.
Look at the patience from FaZe as well. They didn't have control. BNC was in control of Cloud9, but they just waited. They're almost expecting Cloud9 to move and make a mistake. Trying to lay that trap, and now Pznguin can start to fight at B whilst the rest of the team is fighting at C. Good distraction technique from FaZe Clan, and they're back in control once more.
Team score.
They have Cloud9 exactly where they want them now. Over towards tower. TriPPPeY is one. Two members of C9 over towards long haul. Pznguin's there alone. We'll have to just put it in reverse, back away, and prioritize staying alive for the moment. Lethul has managed to take control of tower, so he's trying to push forward and claim some territory. But it's stagnated now for them. They have to wait, they have to be patient and get good damage before they can push forward. They have to try and back players down from goal. They've done that now as Lethul's gotten a pick, but answered back immediately. Bubu, last man alive for C9, and not for long, all four dead for the boys in blue.
Falcated did die in the end, but TriPPPeY came to his aid. TriPPPeY almost, as a bodyguard, stepped forward, put his body on the line, wanted to block some of those bullets, and really did shut down any push that was going to happen from Cloud9 here as this lead is now starting to get a little bit out of control. 200 to 123. And I think the writing may be on the wall with this one. I'd expect TriPPPeY to hit that, I'm going to be honest.
C9 running out of room for error then. They're capturing A, but they're going to lose C. TriPPPeY was happy to let it go and just rotate. You take A from us, we'll just take C from you. You've got to force them to fight for B. And all the while, you put them in uncomfortable positions. TriPPPeY's trying to prioritize staying alive. A bullet anywhere will take him down. There's 4 dead now for FaZe. Camouflage is up as well. Cloud9 forced to prioritize taking control of the hills. So FaZe Clan off the respawn might just be able to compete for this.
You can see Sab trying to get in a position there to take that camouflage, and he may have been able to grab it as well. So this is going to be the moment for Cloud9 in this game. If they are going to get back into it, it has to be a good setup here with this camouflage. Lethul in the end was the one who grabbed it. 2 go down for FaZe Clan. Cloud9 temporarily might have a chance to get a triple cap here, but B and C going to be fought.
Lethul has an opportunity to drop into the hill. Use his camouflage. He's going to have to settle for a trade, but it's good enough. They keep control of A and B. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective from Lethul.
3 dead again for FaZe. Slowly but surely, Cloud9 are just chipping away at this. We feel if they give away one more moment of control to FaZe Clan, this game's probably over. And maybe they need to take a page out of FaZe Clan's book here. Do they need to be pushing for C? Until there's a push towards A, the answer's probably not. They are getting aggressive. They are going to be pushing towards C now, and it is going to be a trip cap unless Pznguin can hold them off.
And for FaZe, you can almost get lured into this false sense of security. Your lead was so significant that you think we'll eventually get the kills that we need. But time after time, you go 3 dead, you go 2 dead, you're getting cycled, you're getting put back in the respawn screen, and all of a sudden that good work that you put in has almost been completely eaten away. Cloud9 now passed over that 200-point threshold.
Great position from Sab as well, and utilizing the plasma pistol just to be a nuisance, and it's still trip cap. And suddenly they have now gained the lead here, 221 to 220. But Cloud9 will all 4 go down. So a great passage of play. They do get back into the game, but now they're going to lose control here. The real question is, are FaZe Clan going to capitalize?
First pick's going to be so important here. Pznguin desperately trying to stay alive. He's done so successfully over towards the bottom of gold steps. Sceptify's got control of tower for his team, and he continues to jiggle peek and keep Pznguin weak. That information is going to be there for FaZe. Nobody has dropped so far. As I say that though, Sceptify is going to fall. Bubu Dubu's got camouflage and an opportunity here to win the game for his team if he can put something together. 2 go down for FaZe. Cloud9 have got numbers advantage now. Pznguin over towards gold. Will step inside B. Bubu's there to help his teammate though. They're making tough work of it somehow, some way. Pznguin gets a kill. And how important could that one be?
Yeah, the camo going in the hands of Cloud9 is massive here. Bubu was able to just walk over the map, get into a position where he can help out any teammate he needed. And Cloud9's still behind, but it's very close. This one is going to come right down to the wire between these two teams. FaZe Clan with one more push, especially with Cloud9 now trying to cap A. FaZe need to move fast. This is a big fight for Falcated, but you can see it's cleared up.
Damage was done elsewhere. Triple cap firmly locked in. And Cloud9 have got the job done. They keep this series alive. We're going to a game 4.
That is an incredible comeback from Cloud9, and they have just showed great resilience and maybe good things to come for this team. That was a 3-0, what should have been sewn up by FaZe Clan. But Cloud9, they locked in firmly into recharge strongholds. And I think there was a big consideration, there was a big moment. I said this was going to be the chance for them to get back into this game. Should they go for the trip cap or not is what they went for. They saw they were able to get, oh my god, Bubu's arms, he's been working out, blimey. You saw them really...
You lost your train of thought.
I got so distracted. You saw that they considered the trip cap. They were able to get 3 down from FaZe Clan. They decided, yes, we are going to play for the trip cap. The risk of playing for trip cap is where they spawn, but because they spawned then over towards long haul, it meant that they were able to really get some points on the board and take the lead.
But you make FaZe Clan be very uncomfortable. When you put them into a triple cap, they know if I make one mistake here, I'm down 20, 30, 40 points. And if you keep doing that, you keep making them uncomfortable, you force them into uncomfortable positions, and importantly, you force them to make mistakes, Dan.
Well, you saw the stats there as well for FaZe Clan. I think they'll be scratching their head saying, how did we let that one slip through our fingers? Just as Pznguin was probably thinking the same thing about that camouflage. I think maybe timing just kind of favored Cloud9 towards the end. They were able to get 4 down at one of the perfect opportunities when that camouflage was coming up, and then we're taking the strongholds, and then FaZe Clan were just kind of on the back foot. But that's why I love watching strongholds. It can flip so quickly, even when you think the game is pretty much done for. But it was these camouflages that really made the difference at the end for Cloud9, and they put one on the board and they keep this series alive.
You can see how much it meant to Sceptify there as he barked over towards his teammates. Look, I'm not a lip reader, Dan, but it looked like he said nice. So they finally show signs of life. Looking at, if you're just joining us, you've seen that game, you're thinking, this is a really good series, it's starting to heat up. Game 1 and 2 did not tell that same story. It looked as though FaZe were going to go dominant and hit a 3-0. But Cloud9 just about answer back in the nick of time. We're heading to Oddball Live Fire.
Yeah, maybe there is something for Cloud9 here that FaZe Clan have struggled a little bit when it comes to Live Fire, Oddball, but Oddball in general, they have been performing well. Just Live Fire is arguably their weakest map when it comes to Oddball. You can see the matchup between the two and how they've been playing at Arlington. 3-1 for FaZe Clan, 2-2 for Cloud9. A pretty similar kill difference as well, 161 to 150. I think this is going to be a scrap. this is going to be a big fight. And one of the key things I want to talk about for Cloud9 here is the addition of Lethul for Oddball, because Manny was one of the outliers statistically on Cloud9 when it came to Oddball. He really struggled to put up numbers. If Lethul can just kind of share the same kind of numbers, the same kind of position as the likes of Sceptify and Sab, maybe Cloud9 have a chance to make this 2-2.
This one's going to be a brawl. Cloud9 look to have finally found their form. And in the nick of time as well. FaZe Clan perhaps guilty of overconfidence in that game 3, and boy did Cloud9 punish them for it. Cannot afford to do the same thing here on Oddball Live Fire. On board with Lethul, the latest addition to this C9 roster, the man to make the difference. Can he do so in this game and in this series here and now?
Oh, that could be a big stick, will be a big stick. Oh, he's just not able to get that final bullet onto TriPPPeY, who went up to the skies. That would have been a really nice start for Cloud9 in terms of starting strategy, but TriPPPeY arrives back to the ground with purpose.
Boots on the ground, bullets in faces. Suppressed and get a lot of easy damage on the Sceptify here as well. Opted to take out the sniper rifle, which could have been a mistake in the end, but luckily for him, he had a teammate there to spare his flushes. Players being traded out left and right. But now the first opportunity for Cloud9 to get hands on the ball. Sniper rifle as well is there. Sab opposite dropped the ball, trying to lock in a headshot, manages to get the stick, and he's good for a trade. Numbers advantage now favouring FaZe Clan for the moment. And they've got hands on the ball and a potential tower setup. Though the play call has come to rotate it back towards House.
Similarly to Strongholds, it's an even share across the board when it comes to who holds the ball for FaZe Clan as well. There's not really a specific ball holder, or at least there wasn't in Arlington. They were very close in terms of statistics. I would typically look towards the likes of Pznguin, but I think it's just one of those scenarios where FaZe Clan recognizing who's kind of playing hot and who should be holding the ball.
Falcated then up through cuts. It's a 1v1 against Sceptify.
Enemy has the ball.
Both players settle for the trade. A slight advantage then. As FaZe have got a quarter of the points total they need to win the round, with the exception of time. Cloud9 forced to wait and be patient then with this push. Sab down to no shields, in big trouble.
Ball dropped.
He managed to somehow get a trade with that nade though.
Ball dropped.
Ball's in a little bit of a precarious position. You can see TriPPPeY doesn't quite know where to bring it, looking for information, looking towards his teammates for help. He got the eyes, then got told to bring it over towards pillars. That's what he does, he obliges that. Ball will fall though. Now Cloud9, they can start to build something.
I think what was important about that victory for Cloud9 is it would have given them a lot of confidence that they can come back into games as well. Especially after that first Aquarius CTF where they were ahead, they were dominating, and then FaZe Clan showed resilience. I think you need that. Even if they lose this series, I think you need to know that as a team you can come back in those games when you are down, because having that belief can sometimes be massive. Nice passage of play here for Cloud9 where they're able to put points on the board, and they are going to briefly take the lead. They take the lead.
I think you mentioned rightly, we always speak about how important momentum is, but confidence is equally important in every measure. And maybe that win will give Cloud9 the belief that they need to push this series a distance and get us to a game 5. And that's when we started talking about why Lethul was the pick that they chose to be the difference maker in those game 5s. They have a slight lead here. They're in an uncomfortable position as 3 go down. Sceptify is forced to back away. They have the information of exactly where he's positioned now. Camouflage for Pznguin, still a little bit to play with as well. They can start to tie this game up.
And suppressed. Connect with any shots. The sniper rifle can be such a huge difference maker here on live fire. But it's TriPPPeY who's actually getting the kill. Sab's going to be the last remaining player, so this one's probably going to be more points in favor of Cloud9. Oh! Suppressed starting to put on a show, maybe.
You might notice a little ricochet bullet up the snipe as well. Ever since the latest update, they are back, and we are happy to see them as well. We know we're going to see some nerdy stuff on the main stage. It's only a matter of time. But speaking of time, FaZe kind of put themselves 20 points, over 20 points to the good now, and they still got control of the ball. Cloud9 have a lot of work to do in this round.
Yeah, the real question is going to be, is it too much work to do? After the last Strongholds game, Just believe that Cloud9 do have what it takes to get back into these rounds. It's going to be the sniper rifle out of ammo, so that's good because finally now Cloud9 can kind of push through. With suppress going down, they'll say, all right, we have a little bit more freedom to push certain angles here.
On board with TriPPPeY over towards green. People were asking, are the bananas still ripe for the picking? Are they still green? We'll find out as the tournament rolls on.
Who's been asking?
I got a tweet.
You
I can prove it.
Wow.
I have a tweet. He
You
wanted to know if the bananas were green. Huh?
Multiple people or just one?
That was one.
Oh, okay.
It was one.
So someone was asking.
Someone, there was
Not people.
it wasn't by popular demand, I will say.
I would have messed it. 3 dead for FaZe Clan. So this is going to be Cloud9 maybe taking this one towards Tower, but no, okay. Sceptify doesn't know. He doesn't know where he's going. How am I supposed to know? He was just doing
There's no rhyme or reason for any of this.
He was doing a little salsa. He was doing a blue shirt guy dance as he just tried to figure out where he was moving that ball. But finally they will move towards Tower and FaZe Clan can look to try and break this one down.
Ball dropped.
Sab hesitant to fire a bullet, doesn't want to give away his position, but damage been done by his teammate. He will be able to descend down from the tower. Doesn't quite get the kill. That will be telling 3 dead. 1v1 on the map now. Falcated up against Lethul. And just about manages to toss that ball off. That's a great play. Recognizing that he was down in the fight and forced to play the ball. That means Cloud9 can't get any free time.
Yeah, so important from Falcated. And for a player that is often so heavily focused on slaying and taking fights, it's good that he can recognize when his number is up and he can just get that ball out of dodge. The sniper is now going to be back into play, and it looks like Lethal's going to be the first one to get his hands
Enemy
on.
has the ball.
Body shot connects. Bandit comes out to finish the job. Sniper rifle now down top middle, and TriPPPeY sniffs it out.
Ball dropped.
Bubu could be his latest victim. Fortunately, he wasn't able to find the face. In little moments like that, you almost expect TriPPPeY to hit the shot, but not coming to fruition this time. Falcated down in the fight. Shields were already in big trouble before he even engaged with Sceptify. So an easy kill. Pznguin picks up a huge double. Could be a triple kill here, and it is. Huge triple from Pznguin.
And those moments where TriPPPeY had the sniper rifle and missed that shot, that's the kind of thing that you would see Renegade and Frosty pulling off. And those can be those really huge swing moments in a game that if you do miss them, if you opt to go for the sniper and then you miss the shots, you can be very heavily punished for it. So it's always been my worry with FaZe Clan. It's like, who is that player that can pull that off? And you'd expect TriPPPeY to be doing it. But you mentioned it earlier, get some of those bad moments out of the way in the early stages.
Time starting to play a factor on the clock as well. Of course, if you're new to Halo, if you're new to Oddball, every time the ball is in either team's hands, the clock will stop. But for
Enemy
now,
team nearing victory.
FaZe Clan have a lead, and they also have time in their favor. Don't have numbers though. A couple of kills have gone the way of Cloud9. Ball is being forced to play. 30 seconds on the clock now. Cloud9 running out of room for error in this round number 1.
They are able to just sneak this one away though. Bubu dubu manages to grab it bottom middle and runs back towards house. So a chance to set up Cloud9, but they are a player down. So it's going to come down to this sniper rifle, but Sab just exposes his backside a little bit too much, but does connect with the shot.
Lands the body, big pressure. Relieved just from hitting that shot alone. Repulse sends one away. Big kills going down. Bubu gets 2. And all of a sudden, time flips. Falcated's got the camo, but he's got 4 members of Cloud9 in his face. And they know exactly where he's positioned now. Cloud9 a second away from taking the lead. Will they drop it? And opt to play time. One player's heading towards the drink. Sceptify into the water. This is a final moment here then. TriPPPeY gets another kill and a reversal to boot. But ball was played.
Ball was played. There is going to be one player alive to maybe watch this one. It's Lethul as the ball tries to scarper away. Lethul gets the kill. 87 to 90. TriPPPeY's going to grab it though and maybe run this one back for FaZe.
Opposite drop it. Will he just be able to get one more second? Yes, he can. Beautiful plays from Trip, and he wins the round for his team.
Just a little cheeky laugh as well from TriPPPeY as he knows how close that one was for FaZe Clan, but they just about get round 1 on the ball.
I think he might have been laughing because the ball looked as though he maybe threw it a little bit too far and might not have been able to get his hands on it. It would have been forced into overtime. But luckily for him, there's no traveling in Oddball. It's a different ball game entirely. Round 1 in the books then for FaZe. Spares the blushes for TriPPPeY then. That could have been so very difficult for them. Now bottom middle is going to be the point of contention for the Oddball. Sceptify is in trouble. He's got help though. TriPPPeY gets what he looks for and backs out of dodge.
I thought he was going to be able to whip that sniper away and then move back as well, and that could have been the perfect heist. bubu who has the camouflage at the moment, and TriPPPeY's going to get shut down. So 2 dead on the side of FaZe Clan, and I think Cloud9 can take a lot away from this already. They're going to be frustrated that they threw that one away. I say they threw that one away. They almost stole it away from FaZe Clan in those final moments. But I think that Cloud9 are recognizing that now they really have been able to match the pace of FaZe Clan here.
Yeah, it was actually TriPPPeY who almost threw the game away, or threw the round away. Managed to get his hands back on the ball though. Now sniper rifle with hands for bubu. Body shot, not good enough for the kill. That means Falcated will keep control of the ball. He just needs his teammates around him. Unfortunately for him, 3 of them have fallen. They're waiting patiently then for the word to play it. Falcated will beginning to waste that sniper rifle ammo, and just, as a matter of fact, settling for tossing it off the map entirely.
It's Sab who leads the way for Cloud9 in terms of slays. He just puts a 17th on the board here, and then he very quickly slides down to bring the ball towards the team whilst he's still firing. That's a great passage of play from Sabinator. But FaZe actually are going to get spawned over towards green, so this is going to be a pretty quick fight that they're into.
Bubu and TriPPPeY fall. 3v3 on the map for the moment. Sab's looking for information over towards green. Little does he know for now it's completely clear, which means his teammates elsewhere are in a fight with a man down because he was looking for other angles, looking for other players. That plasma pistol doesn't connect, it didn't need to in the end though. He does manage to get the kill on the Pznguin. It's a brawl inside house here, and it looks as though FaZe Clan are going to be the victors.
Spawns over towards tower and dirt for Cloud9, so it's a long journey over. Maybe they'll opt to go for a 2-2 split. Send 2 over top middle as the initial distraction, and then the other 2 arrive towards green. Pznguin does get the trade though, so that's big. So now it allows TriPPPeY to know that they're spacing green, so he goes for a little flank here. Oh. Doesn't work out.
See where camouflage went as well. It's going to be Pznguin, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? In the right place at the right time. Gets an easy kill on the lethal. A couple of shots into bubu as well. Ball's in no man's land here. Nobody really set up to take advantage of it. And as a result, it's going to reset. Bubu's got sniped. As he backs away and runs towards cuts. Into the cover of darkness if he can possibly try and stay alive. Beautiful shots from Pznguin once more though. Lethul was taken care of.
Ball dropped.
The sniper rifle is going to make a big difference actually. Love that Pznguin's not scared to hold the ball, but does quickly very much pass that off. One tower control with the sniper, but I will say Cloud9 are doing very well to position themselves and make it awkward for Pznguin with the sniper rifle here, but Pznguin's also making it awkward for them and says, you know what, screw it. No one's having the sniper. It's my snipe, no one's allowed to play with it.
If I can't have it, no one can.
Enemy has the ball.
Looks like it's going to be a tower hole for Cloud9 then. They haven't really been able to get a good, solid, strong setup here.
Enemy
2 members over towards green. As a matter of fact, they didn't rotate it towards tower. Instead, they brought it towards house and maybe looking for green for the opportunity to play it if need be. It has made its way towards green.
Ball dropped.
Bubu's trying to do damage for his teammates over towards Nest here. Then the fight's going to go down. Gets the kill and manages to avoid the damage from the grenade as well.
This is a big moment in the game because we're kind of even at the moment when it comes to how close we are on this scoreline in this round, but if FaZe can get the next setup and start to really generate a 30-40 point lead, Cloud9 will then start to realize that they are on the brink of losing this entire series, and that's when you start to take a few more risks, and maybe when you start to make a few more mistakes as well.
Desperate times might call for desperate measures. That time is not here right now, but it's fastly approaching. Camouflage up in 10 seconds. You can see Cloud9 is starting to rotate for it. Opting to pick up the ball as well, and maybe Sab will drop and try and contest and help his teammates for this camouflage.
Enemy has the ball.
FaZe Clan starting to spawn behind him over towards tower. He faced 2 members. And just like that, Cloud9's numbers completely cut away. And a camouflage for FaZe Clan.
I like watching what Sab's doing, but I worry that he's having to do too much. It's a little bit of help. He can't be grabbing the ball, going for camo, and trying to take down the whole team on his own. I guess the other question would be, should he be waiting for the rest, or is he just playing a little bit too much on one side, away from the rest of the team? 75-39 is the scoreline in favor of FaZe, and they're now 25 points away from winning this entire series, not just this map.
C9 looking a little bit disjointed, and you talked about maybe having to throw the kitchen sink at it, perhaps. We could be heading towards that territory now. FaZe need 20 seconds to win the round, to win the game, to win the series. Cloud9 looking to point a push over towards Big Door. That's where their attentions lie. Pznguin waiting for the push, couple of denial grenades go down just to try and stop the push, but fortunately for him, his teammates have already done damage, already got kills.
Oh.
Beautiful insta-splow. Bubu gets a double kill, and that's exactly what Cloud9 need now. 3 dead for FaZe Clan. Something to build upon.
Pznguin didn't even have a chance to think there before the insta-explode. And somewhere, David Walsh is, of course, smiling. This is Cloud9's chance to get back into this game, and there's going to be a lot down to Sabinator whether we can get into a position. Oh, see, those kind of shots, they can be the difference makers. They can be the game winners. They can be the series winners. But instead allows FaZe Clan now to push into house and allows FaZe Clan to have the numbers advantage. Another one goes missing. Another one goes wayward.
Enemy team nearing victory.
Need to have someone who can pull off those shots out of their pocket.
Penguin's got sniped. FaZe need 12 more seconds. The play calls come to rotate the ball. Bubu's got the opening pick. Cloud9 have got very little time now. The FaZe Clan have quite a bit of it. Throwing the ball bottom middle, forcing Cloud9 into uncomfortable positions. 3 go down. Last member, Sabi, was down to no shields. Ball still on the ground, 6 seconds required, and it's in the hands of TriPPPeY. A grenade comes from Green, he recognizes that, he holds the ball, and he wins the round for his team. 3-1 the score, FaZe Clan victorious.
FaZe Clan victorious. They probably feel like they could have won this series 3-0, but certainly Cloud9 did show signs of life, and a lot of positives to take away from this series. Just to take a map off of FaZe Clan, who of course are the 3rd seed coming into this one, but also to come very close in a couple of rounds. I just think they needed a couple of reps on the main stage just to try and figure out what they could do as a squad. I think the future is bright for Cloud9. I'm excited to see what they can do for the rest of the tournament. It is just pool play, so I don't think they'll be too disheartened. They were not expected to beat FaZe Clan. But maybe when they look back at game 1, when they had the lead, when they were really dominating the early stages on Aqua Flag, could they have taken more advantage of that? Could they have maybe just pinned FaZe back a little bit? If you take a 1-0 lead on Aqua Flag, suddenly the series looks splendid.
This team's still very much in its infancy as a unit. FaZe Clan together a lot longer. Plans, strategies, tactics, always we're going to favor the team that has been together the longest. That's the way it's played out. Like you say, there's some things that you can take from it, some confidence. You did make it difficult, particularly in the last 2 games. And even in the early stages of that Aqua Flag, they did take that 1-0 advantage. But fortunately for them, they allowed FaZe Clan back into it. They relinquished control. And when you do that, FaZe Clan look real good.
8k, over 8k damage for 3 players on FaZe there to close out this series, and they made Oddball Livefire looks comfortable at 2-0, but I think we know Cloud9 very much had a chance to make that one far easier for themselves, but just the final moments, FaZe clutched up in that one.
Final moments always seem to favor FaZe Clan in those 3 games that they won exactly. Round 1, I mean, TriPPPeY drops the ball, final seconds, they get the round win. Taking a look at the highlights as well. It was back and forth in large parts of that oddball. But in the end, FaZe Clan done what was needed, done what was required, and it was a very professional performance.
It certainly was indeed. I've got to say, I'm very glad that Cloud9 had some fight left in them to really take us on a little bit of a journey here, a potential journey that could have gone all the way to Game 5. But FaZe, they said absolutely not. You might have cut our momentum short for just a split second, but we can build it back up once again. I think there were so many different things you could take away from this series. I think first and foremost, the beginning of the day always is very telling for some of these teams in terms of how they are able to get their pool play started. Sometimes you fall short, especially to a team like Cloud9 who are really hungry, especially with this new change. A little bit of honeymooning sometimes when you get your partner back like Bubu and Lethul, being that kind of like new form duo, especially this year. I was very, very impressed with FaZe and how they were able to keep themselves together, not play down to their opponent, and really just get the job done and seal the deal. Wes, how did you make out in this series, watching what you were looking forward to in terms of TriPPPeY and Foul and Pznguin and Suppress and how they performed?
I think everybody individually had their own moments, yes, but I wanted to see more, honestly. I expect FaZe to dominate teams like Cloud9. I think we saw glimpses of it throughout the series. I mean, this Slayer was picture perfect, don't get me wrong, but you don't want to slip up in this stronghold. It's something you can move past to 4 if you're FaZe. It's not that big of a deal. The job gets done in 2 rounds of volleyball. They made sure it didn't go to a 3rd. And it really was just that first round of volleyball that was close, like this game 3. So FaZe do a good job to close this series out. Business is done, but you want to see them continue to get better throughout the series or throughout the tournament.